Hello, everyone. I am Yeshua, and I go over ancient cultures, philosophy, esoteric topics, and other such things alike. Before I get into this video, please subscribe, like, comment, and share this YouTube video if you like this sort of content. And come join my Discord server where we talk about topics such as philosophy and religion. And follow my social media pages and think about joining my Patreon as well. Alright, now let's get into this video. So today's presentation is going to be about sun worship in ancient religions. Alright, so let's start off with some history of sun worship. Sun worship can be seen to date back to the Neolithic period, which would be around 10,000 BCE. Some of the earliest cultures, like that of the ancient Egyptians during the 14th century BCE, within the religion of Atonism, they venerated the sun. Even such cultures like the Zuni, which has a rich history and is said to date back even before the Egyptians to 3,000 to 4,000 years, is also known to worship the sun as well. But I will say that there is a speculation whether or not this culture is 3,000 to 4,000 years old when I was doing my research. Alright, so there's been a story that has been passed down through the centuries where the people of Dogon talk about how the Namo descend from heaven in a boat or a ark. So according to the Zunis, the gods came down from heaven to lead the Zunis through a special portal. This special portal is known as Sipapu, which translates to place of emergence, and is the entrance to the fourth world, which would be a representation of where the Kachinas come and go. The Zuni culture also calls the spirit a Kachina, which it is said to help the Pueblo culture. So the Sipapu portal is symbolic of the Milky Way, and this is where we go to and come from, basically. Many near-death experiences describe going through a tunnel, and at the end, at the tunnel, they reach a light, and that light is basically the sun. And so this goes to prove how ancient this knowledge really is and how we are just now in modern times figuring this stuff out, but nonetheless, it is a good conscious shift towards evolving spiritually. So here's, in the previous slide, I briefly mentioned the Namo, which comes from the Dogon culture. And the Namo are said to be primordial ancestral spirits in the Dogon religion and cosmology. The Namos is derived from a Dogon word meaning to make one drink. And these figures are usually described as amphibious, hermaphroditic, fish-like creatures. These figures are also referred to as masters of the water. All of this is relating to our natural state and where we come from, which would be the cosmos, or the heavens, basically. So, going back to the ancient Egyptians, we see sun worship all throughout their culture. A parallel between the Dogon culture and the Egyptians is that, and what they have in common, they both have a boat or an ark. So sometimes the boat is personified as a dragon or a sea monster throughout other various cultures and mythologies as well. A particular hymn to the sun, called the Hymn to Ra, describes Ra as the day boat and the night boat. So the reason why Ra is called the day boat or the night boat is because it is relating it to the Milky Way and it going across the sky. And in the Bible, it is said that waters above the firmament, and in the Bible, it is said that waters are above the firmament. And the sun being within the Milky Way, going across the sky, would be personified as a boat, basically. So, seen within the symbols of Freemasonry is the Ark of Fire. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. We can see here what appears to be a boat and what looks like a winged sun disk, just right up above it. And the winged sun disk is seen all throughout ancient cultures, ranging from the Sumerians, Egyptians, and even within the Hebrew seals connected to the royal house of the Kingdom of Judah are seen depictions of the winged sun disk. Um, Here we have the blazing star of Freemasonry. This blazing star represents the attributes of the sun with its rays. What is also symbolic is the triangle. The standard facing triangle, facing upwards, is known to be the alchemical symbol for fire. And for this reason, this gives off masculine aspects, and due to this, gives the sun a symbolic attribute relating it to be masculine. So here we have a 33rd degree Masonic jewel. Within this Masonic jewel is seen a lot of symbolism to do with the zodiac. So we have the cross, which is the four cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. We then see the swords, which can be symbolic of a lot of things, such as judgment, power, strength, authority, and so on. And the two swords are facing where the fixed signs of the zodiac are. We then see the nine-sided triangle. The nine-sided triangle is very symbolic because the number 9 is in connection to 369, and 369 is to do with vibration and frequency. In Norse mythology, they have 9 worlds, and these 9 worlds are representing the birthing process of man coming into the world in his or her mother's womb. Sorry. Whether you're male or female, 9 months, you're in your mother's womb. Then on the Masonic jewel, we see the double-headed eagle. And I went over this particular symbol before and what it represents. And to give a brief description of this symbol, it is basically representing man and his spiritual awakening. Because the eagle is a symbol for higher consciousness. This is why Horus is known to represent an eagle, and why the deity Zeus is known to relate to an eagle, and why the eagle is known in the Bible in the tetramorph. And the tetramorph is the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. Then we see the words above the eagle, Ordo ab Chaos, which means order from chaos, and below the eagle is Deus, and sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Deus Mamuk Jus, which means God and my right. So, in the Book of the Heavenly Cow, it is said that Ra placed himself on Nut's back after Nut became a cow. This again relates to the sun in the Milky Way. The cow, which produces milk, is symbolic of the Milky Way, and Ra is the sun. And so Ra being placed on Nut's back is to do with the sun being within the Milky Way. In Inca mythology, Amaru is a double-headed serpent that dwells underground at the bottom of lakes and rivers, illustrated with the heads of a bird and a puma. Amaru can be seen emerging from a central element in the center of a stepped mountain or pyramid motif in the gateway of the sun at Tiwanaku, Bolivia. And here I will show that. This is the gateway of the sun. So in Mexico is seen the temple of Kukulkan, which is Mesoamerican, which is a Mesoamerican step pyramid. Every year on March 21st is seen as this little sliver of what appears to be serpent-like is seen coming down. this period. So during March 21st, this little sliver serpent is coming down, and this is symbolic of Kukulkan coming down from heaven. This also relates to the astro theology because Mexico is in the northern hemisphere, and during March 21st, that is considered the spring equinox. And so, due to this symbolism, we can say that the sun is coming back to the northern hemisphere to the people, giving life to the world. Then on September 21st, this same sliver is seen and is symbolic of Kukulkan going back up to heaven. This can relate to astrotheology again because the sun is going away from the northern hemisphere down to the southern hemisphere, and so it is falling away and hence gives the northern hemisphere fall and winter. Um, Within the culture of the Aztecs, there is seen the serpent savior Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl is a feathered serpent. Among the Aztecs, he was related to wind, Venus, sun, merchants, arts, crafts, knowledge, and learning. He was also the patron god of the Aztec priesthood. It is said that Quetzalcoatl and Christ are both one and the same. Quetzalcoatl is also said to be the sun and a light bearer. According to the Inca myth of origin, Inti the sun sent two of his children, Manco Capac and Mama Ochello, to bring order and civilization to humankind. The pair emerged from Lake Titicaca and headed north to find a city. The city was Cusco, and their path was the first Inca road. So, moving on to more of the Egyptian culture, we see the figure Harpocrates. Harpocrates was the personification of the sun, which is born anew each day. He is depicted in imitation of the hieroglyph for child, but later Greek and Roman poets reinterpreted the gesture to mean silence, and so Harpocrates became a god of silence and secrecy, which we'll see in the next slide why this is such a secret, of why he puts his finger to his mouth. So here we have a code that is given from certain tablets and seals, and these tablets or seals add up to 9999. Some insight into the relevance of this number can be gained from the Papyrus Magical Papyrus from the early 4th century, which attributes the number 9999 to another formula, which is shown to mean Agathos Daemon. So, within Egyptian mathematics, the pointing index finger is said to be the number 10,000, which relates back to the rounded up solar sign 9999 of Harpocrates. So Harpocrates is symbolically showing the sun. All right. So here we see Harpocrates sitting on a lotus flower. And in Hinduism, there is also the figure Brahma sitting on a lotus flower as well. The lotus flower is represented as a symbol relating to the Taurus field, and the creator Brahma sits in the middle, representing either Polaris or the sun. This same symbolism goes in connection with Harpocrates, which is a symbolic sun sitting on a lotus flower. So, seen within the Mesopotamian religion is the god Emaru, which is the Akkadian and Sumerian name for the storm/sky god of the Amorite people, and is depicted with a gazelle and a shepherd's crook or staff. This staff is said to be Amaru's main attribute, which is called the Gamlu, and is seen on cylinder seals. The same exact shepherd's crook is seen in Christian iconography of Jesus herding sheep, and also within ancient Egyptian statues of the crook and flail. The crook is to do with the sun being in Aries, because a shepherd carries around a crook, and so due to this, Jesus is symbolically seen as a shepherd when the sun is in the sign of Aries, herding his sheep. The flail is to do with the astrological sign of Virgo. That's all I gotta say about that. So, within the Celtic tradition, we see the sun god Lu. Lu carries a spear that could shoot out lightning and fire, which could dominate any battle that he got into. And it is said that when a battle was near, the spear was drawn out and then roared and struggled against its thongs, where fire flashed from it and tore through the ranks of the enemy force. Tore through the ranks of the enemy, once slipped from the leash, and was never tired of slaying. So this is symbolically conveying the significance of the Milky Way aligning at zenith for battle to enlighten a person in their lifetime, which is why this symbolic spear is said to have fire coming from it. And the writer Charles Squire says that Lu's sling rod was the rainbow and the Milky Way. So here we have his spear, Lu's spear, and this would be the sling rod. So we see sun worship in church art, where there is the hierarchy of heaven, and in the middle is the sun, just like those images of Hippocrates sitting in the middle of a lotus flower, or same with Brahma sitting in the middle of a lotus flower. We see the sun disk around Jesus' head, and he is holding a lamb and a shepherd's crook, which would be the sun in the zodiac sign of Aries, the lamb. I went over that just a few slides ago. And so, this is why Jesus is related to the Lamb of God that saves the world, because it's in the sun in the sign of Aries, spring equinox. And we can see Hermes with a lamb around his neck, which once again relates to the sign of Aries, the sun being in the sign of Aries. So, here's the god Prometheus. The story of Prometheus talks about how he stole fire from the Olympian gods and gave it to humanity in the form of knowledge. The fire is symbolic of knowledge, and as I mentioned in a previous slide, the sun is symbolic of knowledge as well. So here's just something that's obvious. Here's a Prometheus statue at Rockefeller Center in New York City. This is just a little Easter egg that's commonly known to people searching for this stuff, but still interesting. Here's the sun god Vivasvan in Hinduism. One of the most significant myths involving Vivasvan is his connection with Manu, the progenitor of humanity. In this myth, Vivasvan is the father of Vivasvata Manu, the seventh Manu, who is considered the first human and the ancestor of all human beings. According to the legend, it was to Manu that the sacred laws were revealed, from forming the basis of human society, dharma, and civilization in Hindu tradition. Vivasvan is also indirectly linked to the story of the Great Flood in Hindu mythology. Vivasvata Manu, after receiving a warning about the flood, builds a boat that carries the seeds of life and the seven sages, ensuring the continuation of life after the deluge under the guidance of the fish avatar of Vishnu. And what does that sound like? That sounds exactly like the Bible and Adam and Eve and Noah and all of them. So we see a little bit of a parallel between these cultures and how they knew this stuff, because they all followed the symbols, all followed the zodiac. Here we see the sun god Apollo riding in his chariot. It is said that one of Apollo's most important daily tasks was to harness the 4 horses that were pulling his golden chariot in order to pull the sun across the sky every day. And so we got to get into this. Here's seeing Trump Tower, floor 66, where Donald Trump's personal room is. And in this room, we have many Gnostic symbols, in particular, Apollo leading his chariot, which goes to show that the people running this world know this sort of stuff and know something that the common man isn't really privileged to know. So this is just a fun little Easter egg, like the Prometheus statue at Rockefeller in New York City. And it's very interesting. So with that, thank you for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video all over the place. And get the good word out there. Also, again, think about joining my Discord, follow my social medias, and sign up to my Patreon. All my slideshows are available on my Patreon and on my Discord. So think about getting them. All right. Have a nice day, everybody.